Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam view class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuro Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Saptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशितारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome everyone. So we'll be we are discussing from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are discussing the beautiful section of Uddhava Gita. So last time we discussed the beautiful song of Avanti Brahmana Bhikshu Geet. So in the 23rd chapter, Krishna described in great detail how this Avanti Brahmana, he was so very miser, he did not take care of his family, he did not take care of his wealth, his health also. He was just absorbed in taking care of his money, like a yaksha, just protecting the money. As a result of that, all his relatives, they became so very disgusted, and by the will of the providence, ultimately all his money was lost. And then he was rejected by all his family members. Ultimately, he developed feelings of renunciation and developed devotion to the Supreme Lord, because he had he had performed some devotional service in the past, and then he sung a beautiful song expressing his renunciation and determination, and telling that whatever is happening to me is only nobody is responsible, only I am responsible. My mind is responsible. And then after this, in the 24th chapter, and after establishing mind as the cause of all the miseries, now Krishna, he explains about the material nature. So he describes the Sankhya philosophy again. The same Sankhya philosophy which was described by Kapiladev in the third canto. Now Krishna is describing the same Sankhya philosophy again. So Krishna says in the first verse, now I shall describe to you the Sankhya, understanding which one can immediately give up the illusion of this material world. So that is the wonderful nature of hearing this Sankhya philosophy, because when we start disentangling ourselves from this material world, understand that, oh, this world is just a combination of various elements, because the form attracts the mind. But if we disintegrate that form into various elements, then it is not so attractive. For example, if somebody sees a very juicy and delicious sweet gulab jamun, he may get attracted. But if a person sees flour, then sugar, and then all the ingredients which are required to make gulab jamun, he may not be attracted. That's the purpose of the Sankhya philosophy, to break down the material creation into the elements. And that's how one develops this renunciation. So Krishna says during Krita Yuga, that means during Satya Yuga, and before that, everybody was expert in spiritual science. Everybody was very, very wonderfully learned. They had all the discrimination. And he says, Krishna says that, and before Satya Yoga, only the Lord existed. The seer existed alone. Seer means the absolute truth, the supreme Lord. And it was the same absolute truth who divided himself into the matter and the living entities. Eko Bahunam, Yo Vidhati Kaman. That supreme one became many. That refers not to the creation of the living entities, that refers to the uh, beginning of the creation. Because after the universe is, uh, after the death of Brahma, all the living entities they enter into the body of Mahavishnu in the dormant state, and in the next creation, all the living entities come out again. Eko Bahusyam. So that absolute truth he divides into matter and jivas. And Krishna says that matter embodies the subtle cause and the jiva is designated as the enjoyer. So then Krishna describes the series of events which happens after for the creation. When the Lord Mahavishnu glances over the uh, dravya and impregnates that dravya with four things: prakriti, jiva, kala, karma, and swabhav. So Lord glances over the material nature. Why does he glance over the material nature? Because jivas, they have the tendency to enjoy. Because the jivas who are lying dormant, they have their unfulfilled desires, and Krishna, he wants jivas to give an opportunity to enjoy. He does not want to forcibly, uh, he does not want that jivas should forcibly do devotional service. So whatever jiva wants, whatever jiva desires, according to his karma, the Lord facilitates. So Lord glances over the material nature which was dormant because the jivas they wanted to enjoy, and because of that glance, the prakriti that was pradhan gets transformed under the influence of three modes and time into Mahatattva. And then from that Mahatattva, which is in the primarily in the mode of goodness, that is called Sutra Tattva, and then it gets transformed into the mode of ignorance, that is called false ego. So Mahatattva in the mode of ignorance is called false ego or Ahankar. And then we have discussed many times that this false ego, it again transforms under the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Under the mode of goodness, this ahankar gets transformed into mind and 10 sense devatas. Under the mode of passion, this ahankar gets transformed into prana, the 10 senses, 5 working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and the intelligence. And under the mode of ignorance, this false ego gets transformed into the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the 5 tanmatras or sense objects. So that is the whole creation. Now, after this creation happens, after all the material elements are formed, mind, intelligence, all the elements are there, then lords and then all the devatas, the sense devatas which are created, they pray to the Lord because they don't know how to join all these elements together. So they pray to Krishna, they pray to Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu, in response to the prayers of these devatas, sends his Bibhrat Shakti or cohesive energy. Because of this cohesive energy, all these elements they combine together to form a universal egg, Brahmanda. And then Mahavishnu expands and enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu in this Brahmand. As he enters in this Brahmand, he sees the Brahmand is vacant. So then he starts perspiring from his bodily pores, the water starts coming out. That fills half of this universe, that is called Garbhodak ocean. And Supreme Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu lies on this Garbhodak ocean. From the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu comes Brahmaji. And then Brahmaji, he does tapasya and gets darshan of the Lord and gets instructions from the Lord. He gets empowered and he uses the ingredients of the lotus flower, lotus stem, lotus leaf. Everything is basically Vasudeva only. Vasudeva paro brahman na cha anyo artho asti tattvataha. Whatever you see in this material creation, everything is coming from Lord Vasudeva only. So Brahmaji, he creates all these three planetary divisions, Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha, along with all the presiding deities. And then Krishna says the demigods, they are allotted a place to stay in heaven. Humans, they stay in the earthly planetary system, Bhumandal, and all the ghostly spirits, they stay in Bhurloka. So Swarga means heaven, Bhu means earthly Bhumandal, and Bhur means Antariksha, where the ghostly beings they stay. And then Krishna says that those who are mystic yogis, they strive for liberation. And they are promoted beyond the three divisions, Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha. What is above Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha? That is the planet of Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. So those who are mystic yogis, by their power of their tapasya, austerities, they attain all these upper planetary systems. And then Krishna says, actually, those who are rendering devotional service unto me, they attain my transcendental abode. Actually, Krishna says, I only arrange for the results of all the fruitive works for everybody in this world. And all this is happening under the modes of nature. Sometimes people, they are so very engrossed in these modes of nature, it is like a river. Sometimes they are submerged in this river of the modes, sometimes they float above this river of the modes. And then he says, actually the ingredient cause or upadan karan exists before the creation of the product. For example, upadan means the ingredient cause. For example, clay pot is there. So the clay existed before the clay pot, and clay will continue to exist even after the clay pot is broken. So clay is the upadan karan for the clay pot. Similarly, Krishna says that all the ingredients of the material creation, they have a upadan karan. For example, earth, and he gives the example of golden ornaments and mud pot. So mud pot we discussed. Golden ornament means the gold existed uh, before the creation of the golden ornaments, and even after the golden ornaments are destroyed, gold still remains. So therefore the upadan karan existed before the creation, after the creation, and actually whatever is created is the ingredient only. So therefore earth existed before the clay. So clay is considered real because earth is there. The essential characteristic of earth is present, that's why clay is considered to be real. Similarly, earth comes from water. So earth is there, so water has all its characteristics, that's why earth also has its characteristics. And ultimately, if you go back, it comes to Mahat Tattva. So Krishna says Mahat Tattva is ultimately the creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, Supreme Lord is the ultimate upadan karan for whatever you see in this material creation. The ultimate cause for everything in this world is Supreme Personality of Godhead. As long as the Lord continues to glance over the material creation exists. When Lord closes his eyes, the material creation is destroyed. Therefore, it is said, the whole life of Brahma just goes in one blink of Mahavishnu. Till the time Lord is glancing over the material creation, the creation exists. What happens after that? The destruction of the creation happens after that. So then Krishna describes how does the destruction happens. So a series of verses, Krishna describes how this destruction happens. The mortal body merges into the food, food merges into the grains, grains into the earth, earth merges into fragrance, fragrance into the water, water into the taste. All the ingredients, they start winding up. Ultimately, all the material elements, because they have come from falsing in the mode of ignorance, they merge in the mode of ignorance. The senses, they merge into the presiding deities. The presiding deities, they merge into the mind. The mind merges into the false ego in the mode of goodness. And the total false ego merges into the three modes of material nature. Three modes of material nature merges into the unmanifest state, which merges into the time, and which ultimately merges into the Supreme Lord. So therefore, Krishna says, whatever life you are seeing, everything is coming from the Supreme Lord only, who alone remains as the creator, maintainer, and destroyer. So therefore, this Sankhya philosophy, if somebody understands, it removes the ignorance in the minds, from the minds of people, because we understand that whatever we are seeing in this world is ultimately Krishna's creation. Krishna is manifesting, the Supreme Lord is manifesting all these ingredients. So why should I, uh, you know, uh, possess all these elements? Why should I tell that I am the proprietor of all these? Krishna is a proprietor. In that sense, we will come out of this false ego that I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. So therefore, Krishna says, actually, I am only the perfect seer of everything, and I have spoken this Sankhya philosophy to you. By hearing this Sankhya philosophy, one becomes free from all the illusion. So that is the 23rd chapter. So the 24th chapter, it is entitled as the three modes of material nature. So in this three modes of material nature and beyond, Lord says, गुणानाम् अश्रमिश्राणाम् पुमान्येन यथा भवेत् तन्मे पुरुषवर्येदम् उपधार्य संशतः. He says, O Uddhava, please listen as I describe to you how every living entity attains a particular state by association with the modes. Asammishra. Asammishra is a very important word. Asammishra means it is not mixed with anything else. So all the three modes, they are existing separately, and living entities, because they associate with all these three modes, they get influenced and they get a particular type of existence. And then Krishna describes from second to fourth verses the various qualities of one in different modes. The person in the mode of goodness, he has the quality of controlling the mind. He is very sense controlled, tolerant, determination, austerity, truthful, careful study of the past and future, satisfaction, renunciation, detachment, faith. All these are the qualities of a person who is in the mode of goodness. Simplicity, charity. The person in the mode of passion, he is characterized by unlimited material desires. Asha pasha shatair baddha kama krodha parayana. As Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Asha pasha shatair. The people who are in the mode of passion and in the mode of ignorance, they have unlimited desires, hundreds and hundreds of desires. Kama krodha parayana. They are devoted to lust and anger. Great endeavor. Kriyate bahulayasam. Bahulayasam means great endeavor. And therefore, they are always proud. Even though they get something, they are not satisfied. They want more and more of the material advancement. They are not grateful. They are not satisfied. They are foolish. They are fond of hearing about oneself. If somebody glorifies them, oh wow, I like it so much. They like to be praised, and they have a tendency to ridicule others. So this is a very, very interesting features. These are the interesting features of a person in the mode of passion. The person who likes to be praised, and the person who likes to ridicule others, criticize others, because these qualities, they bring the consciousness of a person down, and one cannot focus on the spiritual life because he cannot understand what is what. you know he advertises about his own prowess, and he justifies his own mistakes also. The person in the mode of ignorance, always angry, greedy, keeps lying, violence towards other living entities, you know, which is characterized by meat eating, always against dharmic principles, always lazy. So all these are the qualities of people who are in the mode of ignorance, always fighting with each other, lamentation, oh I could not get this, I could have got this, always unhappy, sleeping too much, always depressed, always thinking negative about the future. All these are the qualities of people in the mode of ignorance. Then Krishna describes, these modes, they don't only function separately, sometimes they function, you know uh, in a combination also. So please hear about the combination of the modes. So Krishna says, Krishna is saying that, the I and mine, the mentality of I and mine, it arises because people, they interact, they interact with different types of modes based on their previous karmas, based on their conditionings. They interact with their mind, senses, life-ware, intelligence, and they create the conception of I and mine. The person who is in the mode of goodness, he feels, oh, I am peaceful. Person in the mode of passion, he feels, I am lusty. In the mode of ignorance, person feels, I am angry. So whatever may be the case, even if somebody is peaceful or lusty or angry, it is not just one mode, because it is not possible to always stay in the mode of goodness, always stay in the mode of passion, always stay in the mode of ignorance. Because to live properly in this world, we need all the three modes to various proportions. So therefore, these modes do not occur in pure state in the isolated form, rather they are present in combination. So when how does these mode interacts? So when a person devotes himself to dharma, artha and kam, religious principles, then sense gratification and acquiring more and more wealth, then the faith, the wealth and the sense enjoyment which they obtain, they are affected by the three modes of material nature. When a man does sense gratification and religious duties simultaneously, he does sense gratification also, he wants to enjoy also, then he comes under the combination of the modes. And therefore, after that, from after 8th verse, Krishna describes the various things which are there in the various modes. But in the 12th verse, Krishna says, all the living entities, they are in the modes, I am not in the modes. Sattvam rajas tamaiti gunajivasya naiva me chittajayastu bhutanam sajjamano nibadhyate. He says the modes influence jivas, not me. Sattva, Rajas and Tama, the three modes, Guna Jivasya, they are influencing the living entities, not me. They induce jivas to become attached to the body. Because of the influence of the modes of nature, we start thinking, I am this body. And ultimately, the things which are related to this body are mine. In this way, the jiva becomes bound. So now, Krishna describes various qualities. He says quality of Mode of goodness means predominantly self-control. The person in the mode of passion, he is recognized by his lust. A person is so very lusty, that means he's so very passionate in the mode of passion. In the mode of ignorance, the person has lots of anger. That is the primary quality of a person in the mode of ignorance. Always becoming angry, always becoming lusty, passion, self control, goodness. And then Krishna says, if a person is worshipping me with love and devotion and he is offering his prescribed duties to me, that may also be in different modes. If somebody offers to me without any expectation, that is in the mode of goodness. If somebody has some expectation, oh, I'll offer this and I'll get something in return, that is what is happening most of the time in the world. People, although they may worship the Lord, but they are performing bhakti in the mode of passion. They want something in return. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the beginning only, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. After every word he has put na, because that is the innate desire of a living entity. Okay, na dhanam, okay, at least I can have jana. Na janam, okay, at least sundari. Na sundari, okay, at least followers. Kavitam va jagadish kamaye. I do not want anything, O my Lord. So therefore, pure devotion in the mode of goodness means without any expectations. In the mode of passion means I want something in return. People, they say, oh, I'll give such a donation, but you write my name on the, a stone and put it in the wall. I want fame. I want recognition. I want prestige. Person in the mode of ignorance, when he offers his results to Krishna, he may do it with violence. He may commit violence against others also. When mode of goodness predominates, the person becomes endowed with knowledge. He becomes virtuous, always happy. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, this is like, again the same 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling to Arjuna, telling to Uddhava, Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam manamayam sukhasangena badhanati jnana sangena chanaka. There also Krishna has said the same thing. When mode of goodness rises, jnana, one develops knowledge, happiness, virtue, and all the other good qualities. When modes of passion becomes prominent, then what happens? One desires fame, recognition, and becomes very, very active. He will be very active in doing things, but he will not do things intelligently. Krishna also says, Rajo ragatmakam vidhi. Ragatmakam means unlimited desires. Trishna sanga samudbhavam. Because of attachment, unlimited desires arise in the heart. What happens in the mode of ignorance? A person in the mode of ignorance is always lamenting for the things which he could not get, always illusioned. If he may disturb others, commit violence against others, he sleeps a lot. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, Tamastu ajnana jam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhi tannivadhanati bharata. Ajnana jama vidhi. Ignorance increases, one becomes illusioned, always sleeping, lazy, no aspirations in life. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajah karmani bharata jnanam avritya tutama pramade sanjayatyuta. So Krishna says that sattva leads to happiness. Rajah karmani bharata. In the mode of passion, person becomes very active. He wants to acquire more and more things. Works very, very hard. And jnanam avritya tu tamaha. In the mode of ignorance, the knowledge becomes completely covered. When the mode of goodness becomes predominant, what is the condition? The consciousness becomes very clear. The senses, they are completely detached from matter. One becomes actually fearless and detached. That is what happens in the mode of goodness. That's why many of the great philosophers, they are predominantly in the mode of goodness. And many of them actually they don't even care to marry because they are completely detached. They are getting happiness from the philosophy. And Krishna says, these people, they have the opportunity to realize me. So therefore, Prabhupada always writes, always he would tell in the lectures that these four regulative principles on itself, they are not on, spiritual, but they bring a person to the mode of goodness. It is a proper platform from where we can take a jump towards the transcendental devotional service. The person in the mode of passion, he is always disturbed. He has very distorted intelligence. Whatever he sees how can I utilize, how can I enjoy. He's not able to control his senses, completely uncontrolled. Thirst is so material thirst. And the prime example is Hiranyakashipu. He had everything in life, but still he was not satisfied. That is a very, very unhealthy condition of a living entity. Ultimately, the mind becomes completely perplexed and disturbed. In the mode of ignorance, the person has completely bewildered consciousness. He has no faith. Whatever little faith he had, that also disappears. Mind is completely deluded, cannot concentrate on anything. So therefore, Krishna says that when the mode of goodness increases, the devatas they become powerful. When the mode of passion increases, then the human beings, demoniac beings, they become powerful. And when the mode of ignorance increases, then the ghostly spirits, the rakshasas, they become more and more powerful. And then Krishna describes in the rest of the chapter the series of objects, how they are affected by the modes, and the objects which are beyond the modes. He says, even our state of consciousness is under the three modes. When we are awake, that is mode of goodness. When we are just sleeping with a dream state, dreaming, that is passion. And when we are completely in deep sleep, dreamless, that is called susupti, that is mode of ignorance. But there is a transcendental existence also. When we are aware that I am not this body, I am soul. Even people, they are promoted to different planets according to their mode of existence. As Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasah jaganya guna vrittistha adho gachanti tamasah. People who are in the mode of goodness, they are promoted to higher planets. In the mode of passion, they stay on the middle planetary systems, Bhumandal. They get a body of human being. In the mode of ignorance, they may take lower births of lower species, plants and animals. And actually, if a person comes to is transcendental, he is practicing devotional service, then he is beyond the three modes of material nature. So that is what is described. He comes to me, Krishna says. Those people who are beyond the three modes, they come to me. What are the prescribed duties of a person? It's the work which is offered to me without expectation, that is in the mode of goodness. The work which is done with a desire to obtain something, that is in the mode of passion. And the work which is done with violence and envy towards others, that is in the mode of ignorance. And then he says actually the knowledge which a person attains, it is also in three modes. The absolute knowledge, knowledge of the Atma. There are three types of knowledge in the transcendental realm. Atma Gyan, Ishwar Gyan and Keval Gyan. So this Atma Gyan it is in the mode of goodness. That's why all the Gyanis and Brahmavadis, they cultivate this Atma Gyan. And that's how they are in the mode of goodness. Understanding the knowledge of the dualities of the world, that is in the mode of passion. And the knowledge of the materialistic knowledge, that is in the mode of ignorance. But if somebody develops a Ishwar Gyan, develops a knowledge of devotional service unto the Lord, that is in the transcendental state. So that is the transcendental level. So spiritual knowledge, the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, is completely transcendental, beyond the three modes of material nature. Because even if somebody is in the mode of goodness, the mode of goodness cannot award perfection. It is just a platform from where we can take the flight of spiritual world. That's what Prabhupada would give the example. But the goodness itself cannot liberate a personality, because goodness is also binding. It binds one with happiness. It binds one with sense of satisfaction. So therefore, transcendental knowledge is required. Even the residence is in also different modes. The person who is staying in the forest, all the sages and the renunciants in the past, they would go to the forest. Although in the forest there are many animals, beasts who are in the mode of passion and ignorance, but why is forest considered to be the mode of goodness? Because in the forest there is complete peace, and you are away from sinful life. You are away from the material opulence and the passionate environment of the city. Therefore, you can very nicely meditate on the absolute truth, on the Supreme Lord. So that's why the forests are in the mode of goodness. The town, the cities, they are considered to be in the mode of passion. And the brothels and the gambling arenas, slaughterhouses, they are in the mode of ignorance. But then Krishna says, my abode, wherever I am staying, the temples are transcendental. They are Vaikuntha. That's why Prabhupada would say always, my temples, they are not in the spiritual world. They are the spiritual, they are not in the material world. They are the spiritual embassies. And then Krishna describes actually the performer of action. He is also in different modes. The person who is free from the attachment of the results, he is in the mode of goodness. If a worker is performing action in the mode of goodness, he does not want anything. A person who is blinded by the personal desire, oh, I am working so much, but I want all this in return. That is passion. And worker in the mode of ignorance, he does not even know how to do the work properly. As you say, some people, they make things happen, some people see things happen, and some people wonder what happened. So people in the mode of ignorance, they don't even realize how things are happening. Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna describes the same things. The worker in the three modes, the faith in the three modes, determination in the three modes. So Krishna says the faith which is directed towards Atma Gyan, spiritual life, that is the mode of goodness. Faith which is there in the fruitive work, persons who are so much attached to fruitive activities, that is faith in the mode of passion. And the faith which is actually basically in the irreligious activities, that is in the mode of ignorance. But faith in the Supreme Lord, faith in devotional service, that is completely transcendental. And then he says, describes the food in three modes. Then he describes about the happiness in three modes. Bhagavad Gita also says the food in the three modes. Ayu, Sattva, Balarokya, Sukha, Priti, Vivardhana, that is in the mode of goodness. And then the Katu, Amla, Lavana, Ati, Ushna, in the mode of passion. Then the food which is prepared more than 3 hours before, decomposed, putrid, smelling, in the mode of ignorance. What is the three mode? Happiness in the three modes? Again, the happiness which one gets by connecting to the soul, that is mode of goodness. Happiness which one attains by sense gratification, passion. Happiness in the mode of ignorance causes complete delusion and degradation. Krishna also says, what is happiness? Yattad agre visham iva and pariname sukham. That is a misery in the beginning but pleasure in the end. In our Krishna consciousness, the process of chanting, hearing may not be so very pleasurable. But the result, the end result is susukham kartum abhyayam. The sense gratification may look very attractive, but the end result is misery and sense and intoxication, all that. That is pain in the beginning also and pain in the end also. So after describing all this, Krishna says actually the modes in this world, they decide everything. Dravya, Desha, Phala, Kala, Jnana, Karma, Chakaraka. Whatever you are seeing in this world, O Arjuna, even Shraddha, the material substance, the place, the result of activity, the knowledge, the work, the performer, faith, the state of consciousness, even the destination after death, everything is affected. It is based on the three modes of material nature. In fact, O Uddhava, whatever is seen, heard, or conceived of in this world, it is without any exception under the three modes. The same thing Krishna also tells to Arjuna in the 18th chapter. Na tadasti prithibhyam va divi deveshu va punah sattvam prakriti jairmuktam yadebhi syat trivirgunai. Everything in this world is affected by three modes. How to conquer the three modes? Eta samshritaya pumso gunakarma nibandhana yene me nirjita saumya guna jivena chittaja bhakti yogena mannishto madbhavaya prapadyate. By devotional service, one can conquer the three modes of material nature. Bhakti yogena mannishto. By rendering devotional service, by focusing the mind on me, by dedicating your life, all the activities to me, one can attain love for me. And therefore, the intelligent people, they render bhakti and become free from the modes. Tasma dehamidam labdhva jnana vijnana sambhavam gunasangam vinirdhuya mam bhajantu vichakshana. Tasma, therefore, after having achieved this human body, what one should do? This body helps one to develop jnana and vijnana. This body helps one to develop knowledge about the spiritual principle. Therefore, in this body, one can become free from the modes of material nature and mam bhajantu. Those people who worship me, render devotional service unto me, they are vichakshana. They are very, very intelligent. So therefore, O Uddhava, go beyond passion and ignorance. In fact, go beyond goodness also and render service unto me. And therefore, after transcending even mode of goodness, what will happen? Jiva jiva vinirmukto gunaishchashaya sambhavai mayave brahmana purno navahirnantaraschare. He says, a living entity, after he becomes free from the conditionings of the mind, conditionings of the modes of material nature, he becomes completely satisfied just by seeing my transcendental form. Na antaracharet, na bahi, na antaracharet. He does not hanker, he does not look after sense enjoyment in the external world. So that is the rare human form of life, rare opportunity which we have attained by getting this human body. And then this is the end of the 25th chapter. So now in the 26th chapter, Krishna, he gives a warning, because in the 34th verse of this last chapter, Krishna says, Nisango mam bhajed. One should render service unto me. Devotional service, nihi sango. Nihi sango means without bad association. So now in this chapter, Krishna describes what is the great obstacle in this path of devotional service. What is the great, obstacle one should avoid? So he starts the description. He says, having achieved this human form of life, one who is situated in my devotional service, he can achieve me. And he says, actually, many liberated people in the past, they have achieved me, and they were very careful of one thing. They were very careful of association with opposite gender. That's what Krishna describes in 2 verses. He says, a person who is freed from the modes of material nature, after giving up all the false identification with the body, he is not so much attracted to the things of the world, forms of the world. He does not accept them as real. Very interesting line it is written in the purport there. He says, it is written, although Maya tempts such a liberated soul to become a thief, because that is his role, that is the role of Maya, keeps tempting a living entity. Even if somebody is liberated, what is why the purport describes to become a thief? Because anything which we want to enjoy separately from Lord, everything is property of Lord. Hira chor or khira chor, you are chor only. That's what Prabhupada told a businessman. Either you are stealing a diamond or you are stealing a cucumber. At ultimately you are a chor, because everything is belonging to Krishna only. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. So therefore Maya tempts the tempts the liberated soul to become a thief. But a Krishna conscious person does not bite the bait of Maya. Just like a bait is put in front of the fish, and the fish bites on that bait and ultimately becomes trapped. But liberated soul is not attracted by the forms of this world. So therefore Krishna says one should never associate with sense gratifiers. Sangam na kuryad asatam shishnodar tripam kuchit tasnyanugastamasyande patatya andhanugandhavat. He says, therefore one should never associate with materialists. These materialists, they are dedicated to their belly and genitals. Sishna Udar Tripam, dedicated to belly and genitals. And what is the result of that dedication? They fall down to the lower and more darker existence of life. Tamasyandhe. And those who are following these people, they are like following the blind. They are themselves blind and they are following the other blind people. So therefore this chapter, Krishna will emphasize the very great obstacle which is there in the form of association with those people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and association with opposite gender. निष्किञ्चनस्य भगवद्भजनोन्मुखस्य पारं परं जिगीमशोर्भवसागरस्य सन्दर्शनं विषयिणामथयोषितां च हा हन्त हन्त विषभक्षणतोऽप्यसाधु. Nishkinchana, if a devotee he has given up all the desires for sense gratification, Bhagavad Bhajanonmukha, and he is on the path of devotional service, what does he want? Param param jigimashor bhavasagarasya. He wants to cross this ocean of material existence. Sandarshanam vishayina mathayoshitam cha. For him to associate with sense gratifiers and to associate with opposite gender, it is more dangerous than living in a pit which is full of snakes. So therefore this is the greatest obstacle which Krishna is going to describe. So he says, I will describe you the song which was sung by the famous emperor Pururava. So this is the second song which is coming in the 11th canto. First was the Bhikshu Gita, the song of Avanti Brahmana, and this chapter is entitled as Aila Gita. So who was Pururava? We have discussed in 9th canto the story of Pururava in great detail. Pururava was the son of Buddha and Ila. We know the story of Ila and Buddha we have discussed. So Pururava, once he was roaming in the forest and he saw Urvashi. Urvashi was cursed by the Mitra Dev and Mitra and one more Devta to go to earthly planet, Bhumandal. So she came down and she saw this very powerful, beautiful, handsome king Pururava. Pururava also became very attracted to Urvashi, and Urvashi was also attracted to Pururava. Immediately Pururava he proposed to Urvashi and Urvashi agreed. And she said, I will marry you, but I have two conditions. I have brought these two lamps, please take care of them. and I will eat three conditions, she said. I will eat only food which is made in ghee, pure ghee, and I don't want to see you naked apart from when we are uniting together. So then they were enjoying life, and then Indra, he became disturbed one day because Urvashi was not there. So he sent the Gandharvas and they stole the lamps. And Urvashi started shouting in the middle of the night, "Oh, I have been married to a person who considers himself to be a male, but he is like a female. He is not able to protect my lamps." For a Kshatriya to be chastised in such a way, it is unbearable. In He was naked that time, enjoying with Urvashi, but he in that state only he went running and he uh, brought the lamps. But the Gandharvas, they created such a effulgence, and it was light all over. And Urvashi, because she had a condition, she immediately left. So the fifth verse, now Krishna is telling about this Pururava. What happened to Pururava? So this Pururava, he ran after her although he was naked. He was calling out to Urvashi, "Oh lady, oh my wife, oh terrible lady, please stop, please stop. Why are you going away? Why don't we speak for a while? Why are you killing me? Why are you leaving me?" Thus lamenting, he followed her. And ultimately he could not find Urvashi left. And then after 1 year, he found Urvashi in Kurukshetra. Again he pleaded with Urvashi, and he told Urvashi that you please stay for some time. And then Urvashi said, "Okay, once a year I'll come and you will get a chance to associate with me." Pururava, he was not satisfied. Urvashi, she said, "Okay, you worship Gandharvas. They will be able to give me to you." So he worshipped the Gandharvas, and ultimately he was promoted to Gandharva Loka. There he was again enjoying with Urvashi for many, many years. After many, many years of enjoyment, his lamentation was dissipated because of the enjoyment. Then, just like Shaubari Muni, we hear about Shaubari Muni. After enjoying for many, many years, ultimately he developed feelings of renunciation. How I have wasted my life. Yayati also developed feeling of renunciation. Similarly, Pururava, his bhakti, his gyan, his vairagya again appeared in his heart. And then he started singing a wonderful song called Aila Gita. So in the seventh verse, Aila means the son of Ila, that is Pururava. He says, "Aho me moha vistara kama kashmala chetasah devya grihita kantasya nayu khanda ime smritah." It is, "Alas, in the embrace of goddess, that Urvashi, my heart was kama kashmala chetasah." My heart was completely polluted with lust. Devya grihita kantasya, in the embrace of Urvashi, I did not even realize how time was passing. And then he says, "Actually, I was cheated by Urvashi. This lady, that lady cheated me. I could not even notice the time. My days went in vain." That is the nature of sense gratification. When everything is going on good, we don't even realize how time has passed by. That's why Devatas, they are telling that, in the heavenly planet, there is so much of sense gratification. Kim dushkarena kratubhi trapovratir dana divirva dujayena falguna nayatra narayana pad pankaja smriti pramushta atishayendriya utsavat. Devatas, they're telling, we have done so much of tapasya, dan, everything we have done, and we have attained the position of Devatas in heaven. But there is one problem here. We cannot remember lotus feet of Lord because Atishaya Indriya Utsavat. Unlimited sense gratification is going on. So that's what is happening with Pururava also, because he's so very absorbed in enjoying with Urvashi, he did not even realize how thousands of years passed by. That's what Shukdev Goswami tells in the second canto. Nidrayaryate naktam vyavayena chavavayah divacharthe haya rajan kutumba bharanena va. People, the materialistic people in this world, they spend their day earning money and they spend night either sleeping or enjoying with their wives. That's how they don't even realize how time is passing by. आयुर्हरति वै पुंसाम् उद्यमस्तञ्चयन्नसौ तस्यर्थे यक्षणौ नीतौ उत्तमश्लोकवार्तया. With every rising and setting of the sun, the life of a materialist is decreasing. But a devotee comes one day close to Krishna. So therefore now this Pururava, because now the feelings of Vairagya, Bhakti and Gyan again appeared in his heart, he is lamenting. Oh, how I have lost my valuable time. Therefore, a person who is Krishna conscious must be very, very careful not to waste a single moment. Whatever we are doing, we have to very much be aware of how we are spending time. Not even a single moment should pass by without thoughts of Krishna or something related to Krishna. Directly or indirectly, we should be related to Krishna. Even if we are doing our job, even if we are doing our household duties, taking care of children, doing our office work, but in the back of the mind, our purpose should be very clear. How can I serve Krishna better? How that will happen? The more we are attentive when we are doing the direct activities of Krishna consciousness, and Krishna is in the foreground, when we are doing our chanting, when we are hearing Bhagavatam, when we are with devotees, when we are attending festivals, to the extent we are attentive, to the extent we are present there, to that extent Krishna will be in the background when we are doing the indirect activities of Krishna consciousness. So that is how a devotee has to be very much careful not to waste single moment. Avyartha kalatvam is very, very important. So this Pururava is saying, I became a toy animal in the hands of Urvashi. Aho me atma sammoho yenatma yoshitam gritha krida mrigas chakravarti manardeva shikhamani. Who I am? I was Chakravarti. Chakravarti means mighty emperor. Naradeva Shikhamani. I was the crown jewel of all the kings. But now what I have become? I became a Krida Mriga. I became a toy animal in the hands of women. That is the power of lust. He says, I have such, although I was so powerful, she left me just like a insignificant grass. So very strong words, strong realizations Pururava is speaking here. She left me like an insignificant grass. And although she left me, still naked, without shame, I followed her like a madman. Oh, but you have great influence, great power. Why are you so miserable? Says, where are my so-called influence, power, sovereignty? I was kicked by her just like a she ass kicks a he ass. Prabhupada gives this example many times. When an ass goes to a she ass for a sex life, for enjoyment, she kicks him on his face. But still he shamelessly goes towards her. He says, what is the use? Kim vidya, kim tapasa, kim tyagena, shrutena va, kim viviktena maunena, sritir manohitam. What is the use? If the mind is stolen by women, stribhir yasya manohritam. If the mind is stolen by women or opposite gender, for that when all these statements are coming, we should understand. For a male it is female, for a female it is male. Kim Vidyaya, what is the use of great education? Kim Tapasa, what is the use of doing intense tapasya? Kim Tyagena, the austerities, renunciation. Shrutenava, studying all the Vedic scriptures. Kim viviktena, living in a secluded place. Maunena, maintaining the vow of silence. What is the use of all that if the mind is stolen? So therefore, one who hankers for association with of opposite gender completely spoils his spiritual life. He says, to hell with me. He says, to hell with me. I did not know what was good for me. I thought I am intelligent, but I was, conquered by a woman just like a bull or a jackass. He's condemning. The same thoughts were arisen in the mind of this great king called Bhartrihari. Bhartrihari, he was so very attached to his wife, and he gave a wonderful ring to his wife, because the person who gave that ring, he told, you should give this ring to the person whom you love the most. you know so then king gave this ring to his wife, but wife was in love with the minister. She gave that ring to the minister because she thought, oh, I love him the most. Minister was in love with the most beautiful prostitute of the city. He gave that ring to the prostitute and said the same thing. Prostitute, she was in love with the king. Ultimately, the ring came back to the king. And the king, because he was intelligent, he understood the whole connection, whole equation. And then he completely became renounced, and he actually became a sadhu, renunciant. Earlier, he had written 100 verses glorifying the beauty of every bodily part of his wife. That was called as Shringar Shatak. After he became renounced, he wrote 100 verses glorifying renunciation. That is called Vairagya Shatak. And one more book he wrote, Niti Shatak. In that, he writes in one verse the whole essence of what happened to him. He says, Ya chintayami satatam maisa virakta sapyanyamichati jano apyanya sakta asmat krite paritushyati kachitanya diktam cha tam cha madanam cha imam cha mam cha. He says, Ya chintayami satatam. I was remembering that person always. Maisa virakta. I was completely attached, but she was not attached to me. Sa anyamichati jano. She was in love with somebody else. And api anya sakta. And that person was in love with somebody else. Asmat kritech paritushyati ka chaitanya. And that person was in love with somebody else. Dhiktam cha. To hell with that person. Madan tamcha, to hell with the lover of that lady. Madanamcha, to hell with Cupid. Imamcha, to hell with the whole thing. Mamcha, to hell with me also. you know. So that is how this Purava is also condemning himself to hell with me. And then he develops two wonderful realizations. He says, lust can never be satisfied. सेवतो वर्ष पूगान में उर्वश्या धरासवम न तृप्यत आत्म भूकामो वहनिर आहुतिभिर्यथा. Even though I had served the so-called nectar of the lips of Urvashi for many years, Varsha Pugan, many years I was enjoying with Urvashi. Na tripyati, still my lusty desires were not satisfied. Again and again my heart was hankering for the association, just like if some firewood is put in the fire is not satiated. Similarly, I was not satisfied. That is the nature of sense gratification. The sense gratification is of this world is like a 25 paise ka circus. Prabhupada tells 25 paise ka circus. The one person, there was a circus which was put in the village. And on the entry it was written 25 paise ka circus. Only one person was allowed. One person entered and he saw there is nothing inside, and there was one person sitting. He said, bahar board lagaya 25 paise ka circus. Where is circus? So this person, he started beating him. without saying anything. And after beating him for long, 5 minutes, he said, "What do you think? You'll get circus? You'll get to see circus in 25 paisa? Get out!" So somehow he was, he composed himself and he came out. As he came out, he was smiling, and other people they were asking, "Arey, kaisa tha circus?" So he said, "Arey, bahut acha tha, aap bhi jao." That is what is going on. Nobody tells how he is suffering in this world. How are you? I am fine. How can somebody be fine in this material world? That is the you know nature of this world. That is what Krishna says. Kama esha, krodha esha. The lust is like a insatiable fire. And then he says, only Lord can save me now. Pumschalya paritam chittam konvanyo mochitum prabho. Atma rameshwaram rite bhagavantam madhokshajam. You know, who but that supreme personality of Godhead, Bhagavantam adhokshajam, who lies beyond the material perception. Only Lord can save my consciousness. I was stolen, my consciousness, my mind was stolen by a prostitute. Later he'll realize why I'm condemning that Urvashi. He'll say in some time. So therefore, whatever our consciousness may be, only Krishna can help us. Because Krishna has taken the responsibility to protect his devotees. In the pastime of Govardhan Leela, when all the residents of Vrindavan, they approached Krishna, "Oh Krishna, because of you we did this Govardhan Puja, and just see now what has happened. Indra is showering torrents of rains." So Krishna, he is contemplating. Tasman masharanam goshtam mannatham mat parigraham gopaye swatma yogena soyam me vratahita. He says, "Oh, these people, they are my family. They have surrendered everything to me. Mannatham, they have considered me to be their master. So therefore, I will protect them because I have taken a vow to protect my devotees." So that is a vow of Krishna. Kaunte pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Only thing we have to do is be very steady, consistent in our practice of devotional service. Then after, criticizing Urvashi, he says, why I'm criticizing Urvashi? He takes the responsibility. बोधितस्यापि देव्या मे सुक्तवाक्येन दुर्मते मनोगत महामोहो नापयत्यजितात्मना. What is the fault of Urvashi? Actually, Urvashi, she tried to give me all the good counsel, because in the ninth canto we have heard Urvashi, she told very strongly about the nature of a woman and how he should not be attached to women. But because Pururava's mind was so very absorbed in sense gratification, he could not hear the good advice. Therefore, he says, how can I blame her? It is only because of my ignorance. I neglected my real spiritual nature. I considered rope to be a snake, just like a person who considers a rope to be a snake and he becomes fearful. The fault is not of the rope, the fault is of a person because he is in ignorance. What harm can a rope do to a person? So therefore, there is no fault of Urvashi. The fault is mine. So very frankly, Pururava is admitting here that there is no fault of Urvashi. Fault is I wanted to enjoy. So our enjoyment mentality, propensity is the cause of our material existence. Nobody can say, oh, this person is the cause of my fall down. No, because our mind is contaminated. And then he says, actually, this material body is completely illusory superimposition. Body is so very filthy. This body is completely polluted, full of bad substances, bad odor. I was attracted to the fragrance and the beauty of the body of Urvashi. But what is that attractive body? That is just a fake covering. The body which is full of bile, mucus, gas, stool, hairs, and all the repugnant substances. It is ultimately who is the proprietor of this body? Parents, is body belonging to the parents because they gave birth to the body? Or is body belonging to the bharya? Bharya because wife is giving pleasure to the body. Does body belong to bharya? Or does body belong to a person who is giving the employer? Or does body belong to the fire because ultimately fire consumes the body? Or does it belong to the dogs and the jackals because sometimes the body is thrown away and then dogs and jackals they eat the body? Does the body belong to the soul? You know, or does the body belong to the relatives, all the intimate people? Actually, one can never decide whose property the body is. Tasmin kalevare medye tuchyanishte visajjate aho subhadram sunasam susmitam cha mukham striya. So very strong words he's saying. This material body is amedhya. Amedhya means a polluted material form. Tuchyanishte. This body can take one to the lowly destinations. And still, even after understanding, actually this body is going to get destroyed. Either it will become ashes, or it will become stool, or it will become this when it is eaten by the worms it becomes stool. When it is burnt it becomes ash. you know so therefore, and when it is thrown away, so then all the vultures they eat, all it becomes insects. So three destinations of a body: ashes, insects, and stool. So this body is anyways going to the lower destination, but still when a person stares at the beauty at the face of a woman, he thinks, oh, what a beautiful good looking lady, what a charming nose she has got, what a beautiful smile she has. That's all the realization which Pururava is getting now. And therefore he says, actually, people who want to enjoy the body, they are like the worms. What is the difference between the worms and the sense gratifier? The worms also enjoy the skin, flesh, blood, muscle, fat, marrow, bone, stool, urine. And sense gratifier is also doing the same thing. It is described by in the purport there, when a man embraces the body of a woman, he ends up in two hands full of stool, blood, mucus, pus, and all that abominable substances. Even after hearing all this, the person cannot give up the attraction. So therefore, Krishna is very strongly telling, therefore a spiritualist should not associate with opposite gender. Athapi nopasajjeta strishu strainoishu chartvit vishayendriya sanyoga mana shubhyati nanyatha. Even though one may theoretically understand, but one should never associate. Because after all, when a sense object comes in contact with the senses, it agitates the mind. Whoever you may be, that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Even if one of the senses is allowed to deviate, it can destroy the person. Yatato hipi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitah indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manah. Vipaschitaha, even if one of the senses allowed to deviate, it can distract the mind of a even man of discrimination. Therefore, he says, when a sense object is out of sight, it is out of mind. Therefore, one should not contemplate, one should not see, one should not try to be with the opposite gender. Because mind is not disturbed by that which is not seen and not heard. Slowly, if somebody may say, but the impression is still there in the mind. Yes, impressions are there. But if we are not seeing in physical form, slowly the impressions become lesser and lesser, and eventually they die out. Tasmat sango na kartavya strishu straineshu chendriyah vidusham chapi avishrabdha shadvarga kimumadrisham. Therefore, one should not allow his senses to associate freely with opposite gender or people who are attached to opposite gender. They are also equally dangerous for a materialist. And therefore, he says, ultimately, Krishna describes what are the lessons you should learn from this Pururava pastime. Pururava, he says, actually, Pururava, by this contemplation, he actually became cleansed of all the material association. He became completely pacified and attained peace, understood the Supreme Lord. That's why Pururava is glorified as pure devotee of the Lord. So therefore, one should not judge a devotee based on one particular incident which is happening in his life. A devotee may fall down, one should not criticize that devotee. Because ultimately, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma Shashva Shantim Nigachati Kaunteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Devotee is never destroyed. So therefore, Krishna says, one should associate with devotees. That is a sure shot way to come out of this material entanglement. Tato dussangamutsrijya satsu sajjeta buddhiman santa evasya chindanti mano vyasangamukti. Give up the association of bad materialistic people and associate with devotees. Who are these devotees? These devotees, they have fixed their mind on me. They are always peaceful. They are endowed with equal vision, free from false ego, any type of possessiveness, no greed. And therefore, O Uddhava, these devotees, whenever they come together, they discuss about me. Teshu nityam mahabhaga mahabhageshu matkatha matkatha. They engage in my katha. What is the wonderful nature of my katha? Purifies all the sins. Therefore, then he, after describing all this, he gives the phalastuti. Whoever hears, chants, and respectfully takes to the heart these topics about me, mat para shraddhadhana sha bhaktim vindanti te mai. They become faithfully dedicated to me and achieve my devotional service. Therefore, association of devotees is so very important. What more remains to be accomplished for a person who associates with pure devotee or who becomes a pure devotee? A devotee of the Lord attains everything. Therefore, devotees, they are the supreme shelter. Repeatedly one should take shelter of the devotees, because devotees can take one out of the miserable material existence. They are like the strong boat which can take one across the ocean of material world. Actually, my devotees, they are only refuge of person who is falling in the material existence. Just as the food is the life of all creatures, just as I am the shelter of all the distressed people, just as religion is the wealth of the people who are passing away from this world, my devotee are the only refuge for people who are falling in this material existence. Therefore, when we take shelter of devotees, they give us vision. My devotee, they bestow divine eyes. Sun can only illuminate externally. My devotee, they illuminate the darkness which is there in the heart. Therefore, those who become dedicated to my devotee, he attains success. And after describing all this, Krishna says, this Pururava, he ultimately left the Urvashi's planet. He came on Bhumandal, started wandering without any motivations, without any association, without any material association, and completely satisfied, became completely satisfied. So that is the end of the 26th chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So there are some questions. So consciousness which is affected by the three modes. Yeah. So basically, when we are in when we are conscious, awake, that is in the mode of goodness. When we are sleeping, when we sleep, initially there is a dream state where we dream. That is called as swapna stage. So one is jagrata, then swapna, then deep sleep. There is a stage of sleep where we don't see any dreams. Susupti, that is complete ignorance. But apart from these three states, there is a transcendental state which is called Turiya. Turiya means not any of these three states. either Jagrata, Swapna, or Sushupti. That is actually transcendental consciousness, because in all these states of mind, one is aware of the external conditions. You still have some material conception, but in the transcendental consciousness there is no material conception. So that is how the consciousness is affected. Okay. Maitreya Muni was present at this time
Thank
when
you.
Krishna was. No. This is
Hare
happening in
Krishna.
Dwarka. You know. So this Uddhava Gita is happening in Dwarka. After hearing Uddhava Gita, Krishna will depart, and Uddhava will follow Krishna. Krishna will go towards Prabhas Kshetra along with all the Yadus, and actually Uddhava will follow him after annihilation of all the Yadu dynasty. Krishna will be sitting under a banyan tree. There Uddhava will again reach. That time Maitreya Muni also comes. That time also Krishna describes about his nature, about his paramam sthiti, the supreme transcendental position, his intimate pastimes, everything he tells. So that is some other instruction. But the Uddhava Gita is the instruction which Krishna gave when he was in Dwarka. After Uddhava came to know that now, I think Krishna is about to depart. So he went and approached Krishna, and Krishna is trying to pacify Uddhava by all these instructions. Okay. People in the mode, yes, anybody can get mercy of the Lord provided, they have the desire and they are ready to transform themselves. A person in the mode of ignorance, if he gets association of devotees and if he has desire, sincere desire, then he can also get transformed. So anybody can get transformed. There is no restriction of one person will stay in the hell eternally. No, that is not the case. But the desire is important. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow we'll not be having class. We'll continue on Wednesday. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki
Hare
jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Krishna.
jai.
Jai.